Hey there, it's Mark at Woody Creative, and we are talking once again with Stephen Putanti with FamilyLawClass.com. And this is part of the 10 Minutes or Less series. We're trying to make sure we keep these things to 10 minutes or less. Stephen, today we're talking about the team, assembling the team, bringing in the experts, touching base with those people who can probably even save money by bringing in an expertise in different areas to move the case forward. Tell us about that. Who are some of those experts and why do you need to bring them on board?
Okay, thanks, Mark. Well, one of the reasons is when you go see an attorney, and I've done this before myself, you want answers. And sometimes the attorney might not have the answer. And sometimes they can find out the answer, but it might take them 2 to 3 hours. Whereas if they pick up the phone and they call somebody who does have the answer right away, they get a quicker answer. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the billable hours concept.
Right.
You have some attorneys who are like, yeah, they've paid me a retainer. I'm going to go find out the answer. Well, what if the answer takes you 3 hours to find out and you could have had a 10-minute phone call? So I'll give you the list of some of the professionals that you might want to bring into your case. It's not necessary in every single case, but it is in some cases. Attorneys, so estate planning attorneys, tax attorneys, business attorneys who know about complicated partnerships and limited partnerships and things of that nature. You might have mental health professionals or therapists or counselors or child psychologists or somebody like that who needs to be part of the case because either they're going to lend some professional advice or counseling to the case, or they're going to be able to help somebody who's going through the case. Mm-hmm. There's also financial professionals. And obviously there's people who invest, buy and sell stocks and securities and businesses and things of that nature. If there are complicated financial issues, you want those people to provide their insights. And there's actually a certification. It's called a Certified Divorce Financial Planner. And some financial planners go out and get that additional certification because they get trained in different issues that involve divorces and separating assets and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. There's also real estate professionals, such as real estate brokers and agents and mortgage people, mortgage professionals. Think about it this way. You have a house that's owned by both parties and they're getting divorced. There's questions of, well, is the title in both names? Is the mortgage in both names? Do we need to refinance and get someone's name off a mortgage? That's going to involve the mortgage broker or the mortgage professional. Do we need to sell a house? How quickly do we need to sell a house? What's the market look like? All these are things that, we laugh about it. A Google search can probably answer, but we're going to spend 2 hours looking up stuff that a quick 5-10 minute phone call might give you the answer to. There's also investigators.
Is that often how this works, that you're literally talking about sometimes just 5 or 10 minutes with a specialist?
Yeah, believe it or not, I get a lot more phone calls than I call out to people. It's weird. I'll get a lot of people who call me estate planning attorneys, tax attorneys, business attorneys. Different people will call me and they always have a different story and they want to get my perspective. Now, I do call people. I had a case recently that involved a limited liability partnership and I do some business law, but this was a very complicated limited partnership. So, I picked up a friend of mine that I know that's all he does is limited partnerships, and asked him a whole bunch of questions. And it was a 20-minute conversation because we were talking about, skiing and having fun and stuff like that. But it's, those are the relationships that most attorneys have developed throughout the years. And again, you could find out the answer yourself, or you could pick up the phone and call. And it really does come down to billing. I don't feel comfortable billing my client for 3 hours of research that I could have made a 15-minute phone call on and gotten some advice from somebody. So, and there's other things. Those are legal issues. The real estate stuff, the therapy stuff, I'm not trained in real estate. I'm not trained in therapy. Mm-hmm. I can help people get through certain situations, but you need a trained professional if there's issues involved.
Is it more often that you're just consulting and that it is, it's funny how my mind went to maybe too many TVs and movies, the idea of the expert on the stand. Is that rare that you bring in some expert and they actually have to go, I guess most of these aren't going to court anyway, but.
It is, I should say it's rare, because family law is different than, it's not as technical as other areas of law. and you do bring in professionals. I can give you an example. We have tracing professionals that basically trace assets.
Okay.
So let's give you an example.
Hiding something.
Well, no, tracing meaning in terms of, and that's another issue. We can get into that, but we're talking about somebody who owns an asset that was a separate asset before they got married. And that asset was either converted or invested, or things happened during the course of the marriage that may have changed some of the character of this separate property asset.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. You buy, before you get married, you have 100 shares of Apple stock. You've had them for 5 years, you get married. During the course of a marriage, you buy and sell 100 shares, you sell 100 shares, you buy 1,000 shares, you sell, you're going to have to go back and trace that transaction and that stock, that property, to find out, is any portion of that still separate property? Is some of that now community property? Is, what is it? You can also look at things like, because somebody owns something before, if it produces income during the marriage, that is considered community property in a lot of cases. So that's what a tracing expert comes in and does. Okay. And most of those tracing experts are they're mostly CPAs. They're people who are professionals with, assets and money and taxes and things of that nature. So, they're better at numbers than obviously I am. I'm not good at numbers. But those are the people we bring in, and we put them on the witness stand and we ask them for what do they believe? What's in their professional opinion? What do they think? And obviously, if it's that professional opinion doesn't benefit my client, I'm going to challenge that person. We all remember my cousin Vinny, where they put the car expert on the witness stand, and he was questioned by his favorable attorney who wanted him to say what he wanted him to say. And then we remember Joe Pesci getting up there and kind of fumbling through and trying to make him look like he didn't know what he was talking about. And that's kind of what experts do. You want them to help your case, but they can be challenged as well.
Right. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. Are there any other investigators? I think you mentioned investigators. Was that another one that?
Yeah, we have a few cases where there's criminal activity involved. There might be adultery involved, where someone's denying that they're having an adulterous affair. Investigators are good because they can, they're out in the field trying to gather up evidence, photographs, video, things of that nature. I had a colleague once that, had video of a wife in a marriage coming in and out of a hotel room on 4 or 5 separate occasions with the same guy. And of course, on the witness stand, she's denying it, and they have the video and they show the video, and it discredits all of her testimony because she was caught lying about the affair. And that was all developed by the investigator. And of course, you put the investigator on the stand and you ask him when and where and how. Where were you? Where did you follow her? From where did you follow her? Where did you follow her to? Is that the woman who got out of the car? You develop the testimony and you kind of show that this is the person who's sitting in the courtroom right now. But you use investigators for stuff like that. You might also I'm using right now a professional investigator who only deals with international transactions, investments, Bitcoin, things of that nature, where, again, I could probably go out there and educate myself on Bitcoin and international financial transactions, but it's going to take me 6 months, where this is what this guy does for a living. So we're going to hire him and bring him in.
So ultimately I guess it kind of boils down to saving money, saving time, which saves money, but also strengthening your position, I guess, is the primary goal, that you're bringing in the expert who can speak to whatever their expertise is, that you may not have had that expertise. Probably ends up saving time and money though, right? Right.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the best. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know. And you go in and you try to use the most professional, educated people to provide the information that you want to provide to the court. Because ultimately you're trying to convince the court. You're advocating for your client. So, it's more convincing for a real estate professional to talk than it is for me to talk, or my client to give their opinion about the real estate market. So you want to make sure that the right person is, transmitting the right message, or the proper message.
Okay. I think we're just about out of time. Is there anything else you can think of that's significant to this one?
No, just the fact that all of this stuff is important. It seems like it's stuff that you should consider. You don't necessarily need these people, but it's always good to know that you might need them and bring it up with your attorney. Hey, do we need a real estate professional? You know, and so it's knowledge that you need to have going through your case. You might not need these professionals, but it's know that they're out there and that it's a possibility if you need them.
All right. All right, man. All right. Thanks. It was informative. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Mark.
Stephen. Bye.